Hello everyone and welcome to the first session of our DDR Protocol series. Before we talk about DDR, timing, commands or verification, I want to start with a very simple question. Every day, we use applications like Chrome, YouTube, VS Code, Instagram, games, and many other software applications. But have you ever wondered where all the data actually stays while the application is running? Let's take a simple example. Suppose you open Chrome on your laptop. The Chrome application contains millions of lines of code, images, videos, user settings, cookies, temporary data. All of this need to be stored somewhere while the application is running. So here another interesting question is, imagine I gave you a world fastest processor. Let's say a processor running at a several gigahertz speed. Now imagine that the processor has absolutely no memory connected to it. Do you think it can run Chrome? Can it play a YouTube video? Can it even boot an operating system? The answer is no. No matter how powerful the processor is, without memory, it cannot do any meaningful work. And that memory is exactly what we are going to talk about in this series. The technology that acts as the main memory in almost every modern computer, laptop, smartphone, and SoC is called a DDR memory. So, where does this memory fit in a computer? Before understanding DDR, we first need to understand something even more fundamental. What exactly is memory and why does a processor need it in the first place? Let's understand that. So now we know that processor needs memory, but is all memory the same? The answer is no. In a computer system, memory is organized in a hierarchy. Here you can see I have explained through a diagram. So here we have levels of memory, level 0, level 1, level 2 and level 3. We'll go step by step. At the top we have register. These are extremely fast but very small. The next come the cache memory, which is also very fast and it is located close to the processor. Then comes RAM, which provides much larger storage. And finally, we have SSD or hard disk that store data permanently. Now you might be wondering, if register and cache memory are fast, then why do we need RAM? The reason is simple. As we move up to the hierarchy, means from level 3 to level 0, memory become much faster but as much more expensive and smaller in size. And as we move down to the hierarchy, memory become larger and cheaper but slower. RAM provide the perfect balance between the speed, capacity and cost. And this RAM is where DDR comes into the picture. So what is RAM? What are different types of RAM? We'll study that. So before understanding DDR, let's first understand what RAM is. RAM stands for random access memory. However, RAM has one most important characteristic, and that is it is a volatile memory. This means that when power is removed, all the data stored inside the RAM is disappear. That's why when your laptop suddenly loses power, any unsaved work can be lost. So RAM is fast, temporary, and serve as a working memory of the entire system. So here and another question arises, like if a RAM is so important, is there only one type of RAM? So the answer is no. There are two types of RAM. Here you can see I have listed those two type of RAM. Those are SRAM and DRAM. SRAM stands for static random access memory and DRAM stands for dynamic random access memory. Both stores the data. Both helps the processor, but they do it in a very different way. And understanding this difference is the key to understanding DDR. So now moving forward, we'll see the difference between SRAM and DRAM. So SRAM is extremely fast. This is why processor uses SRAM to build cache memory. But there's a problem. SRAM consumes more silicon area and it is expensive. Imagine trying to build a 16 GB of SRAM, the cost would be very high. DRAM, on the other hand, is slower compared to the SRAM, but it occupies much less area and it is significantly cheaper. This makes DRAM ideal for building large memory such as 8 GB, 16 GB, or even 64 GB of memory system. That's why modern computer uses SRAM for cache memory and DRAM for main memory. So, looking to the architecture of both the cells, the SRAM and the DRAM, let's now understand. So, looking first of the SRAM cell, you can see it is a SRAM single cell is made up of six transistor, while a DRAM single cell is made up of one transistor and one capacitor. It consists of just one transistor and one capacitor. The capacitor store electrical charge. If a charge is present, we interpret it as a binary 1. If a charge is absent, we interpret it as binary 0. This simple structure is one of the biggest reason DRAM is so dense and cost effective. Millions and billions of these cells can be packed into a memory chip. But this simplicity comes with a challenge. So, what is this challenge? We will get the answer in this question that why it is called a dynamic RAM. Unlike an ideal storage element, a capacitor cannot hold charge forever. Over time, charge slowly leaks away. Imagine filling a bucket with water that has a tiny hole at the bottom. Even if you don't touch it, the water level will gradually decrease. The same thing happen inside a DRAM cell. If you don't do anything, a stored 1 may eventually become a 0, and that would mean losing a data. To solve the leakage problem, DRAM periodically refresh its content. The memory controller read and restore the changes before the information is lost. This process is called refresh, and this is exactly why it is called dynamic RAM. So we get the answer for both the questions. First of all, what was the challenge and how it we resolved it and why it is called a dynamic RAM. So here the data isn't static. It requires continuous maintenance to remain valid. Without refresh operation, DRAM would lose its content over time. So that's why I have shown over here through 5 steps. Like first we store our data in a DRAM cell. Meantime, will the charge will leak. Will give the refresh command so that our data is preserved, and after that, a write read operation will be performed. So moving further, now let's see what is DDR. So DDR stands for double data rate. To understand this, let's compare it with the older SDR memory. So what is this SDR? SDR is single data rate memory. In SDR, the data is transferred only on one edge of the clock, or typically you can say on the rising edge of the clock. So here you can see in the figure I have mentioned a clock where there is a rising edge of a clock, falling edge of a clock, a level high and a level low is indicated. So on every rising edge of a clock, my data is transmitted. That is called single data rate. But how DDR improve this transferring data? It transfer data on both the edges, the rising edge as well as the falling edge. As a result, DDR can transfer twice as much data without doubling the clock frequency. So here a big benefit come. I didn't even double or increase my frequency. On the same frequency, I double my data transfer. And that simple idea revolutionized many memory performance. So what we learned today is like what is RAM, the basic difference between SRAM and DRAM, the DRAM cell structure, why refresh is needed, we also study about that, and what does DDR means and why it was introduced. So with today we build the foundation. We didn't memorize command or timing. Instead, we understood why DDR exists in the first place. In the next session, we will deep dive into a DDR architecture and understand banks, rows, columns, and how data is actually exist inside a memory. Because once you understand the architecture, learning DDR command become much easier. So thank you for watching everyone, and I'll see you in the next session.